I hate playing in Fenway Park. I want to go to Fenway Park. I want to spend a whole series there and watch the Mariners play baseball there. But I hate when the Mariners play in Fenway Park. What is up? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back and welcome into the Seattle Mariners post-game recap. The Mariners dropped this one today, 8-3 to the Boston Red Sox. They fall to 12-11 on this still very young season. Before I go any further, the recap, as always, you know the three things. Hit that like button for me. It helps out the channel. Comment your thoughts on the team and the game down below. And don't forget to hit subscribe, about 15 subs away from 4,500. So again, thank you all for all support. Channel members, be on the lookout for a post for the live stream for the the Mariners Marlins series coming up this weekend. I'm a little under the weather, so I'm going to keep this one a little bit shorter. I'll probably end up going 25 minutes with this one. The first two series in this road trip, the Mariners have lost game one, and now the third one, they've lost game one. And I haven't been too frustrated by it. Like, hey, series win is still right there in front of you. Go get it. It happens. This one does bother me a little bit more because I'm a little worried this might have been the most winnable game in the series. One, like I said, I just hate when the Mariners are in Fenway. It is just a house of horrors. I don't think the Mariners have won a series there since 2014. I think they split a four-gamer in 2021. But it just always seems to remember that four-gamer in 22 where they were swept. That was a disaster. The Trevor Story series where I think he hit 7 home runs or something in 4 games. It's just always a house of horrors, and it continues tonight for the Seattle Mariners. And now you've got to go into, I thought tonight you had Bryce Miller going against Brian Bayo making his season debut. I felt pretty good about that pitching matchup, and the Mariners offense been swinging the bats pretty well. And I thought this was one the Mariners could come out with a win. And had they done that, I kind of would have been like, hey, if you the next 2 games, even if you lose them both, while you don't want that to happen, you leave the road trip 5-4, you're feeling pretty good. And now I'm sitting there going, ooh, is this going to be a 4-5 road trip as good as it started? Are they going to get one of the next 2? Because I don't really trust Emerson Hancock. He pitched much better in Cincinnati. He's a ground ball pitcher, so maybe he's okay in Fenway, but that makes me nervous. And Newcomb's been pretty good for the Red Sox. And then on Thursday, I have all the faith in the world in Brian Wu, but you're facing Garrett Crochet. Mariners could be the best team in baseball. I'm not saying they are. I'm saying if they were, facing Garrett Crochet would still be a nightmare for any team. So that's a game that you could lose no matter what. So I will say this is the first one this road trip where didn't like losing this one. Wanted to get this one. They'd got this one in the bag. I would have been like, hey, great road trip. Again, not gravy the next 2 days. You still want to win a series and win games, but I could have stomached it. It would have meant no matter what, you're going home 500 for a homestand. It's a short one, a 5-gamer, but one that I think he can do some damage on. So this is a disappointing loss. Now, with that said, the same things hold true that I said in those first 2 series. You still have a chance to win this series. It's all still right there in front of you. So this loss, on the small level, it happens. Boston's a pretty good team. You weren't going to go into Fenway Park and sweep Boston, and you still got a series win, if you can bounce back and win the next 2 days. So just on the, in the small vacuum, this game, they do happen. Some frustrating things, but it is what it is. It's just the fact I don't think they're set up well the next couple days. Whereas the last 2 series, I thought they were set up relatively well. I thought, after Cincinnati game 1, Miller versus Martinez, feel pretty good there. It was originally Singer versus Wu, but then it changed. So, and then Toronto, you had Logan Gilbert and Castillo going the next 2 days in favorable pitching matchups. And of course, pitchers don't pitch against each other. They pitch against the offense. But I felt much better about those 2 series. But we'll see, right? We'll see. Baseball is a funky sport, so you never know. The starting pitching has got to start pitching better. I've talked up this offense a lot, and it's been good. Even tonight, I don't think it was awful. That they could have done more. I thought they let Bayo off the hook in that first inning. Then he was kind of able to settle down. If they can get, that felt like a potential for a 2, 3, even 4-run inning there. Tellez grounds into the double play and just kills, the momentum there. Remember last week when Brian Wu, gave up that first run against Texas and bases were loaded, nobody out again, and he gets out of it with the 1 run. That felt like a huge victory. So this was kind of the opposite today. It wasn't quite the same scenario, but it felt like the Mariners had a chance to sort of, not an early dagger, but put a big number on the board, crooked number in the first inning. And they just sort of let Bayo off the hook there. And if you're Boston, you're sitting there going, hey, 1-0, fine. I've always said, a buddy of mine told me this once, it's always stuck with me. I never get worried about being down 1-0 because you got to score one run to win anyways. So, Boston has that mentality. They get back out there and they get that run back in the bottom half of the first. So I'm not going to praise a game where they only scored 3 runs, but they had 6 hits. They had 6 walks. Like, they only struck out 5 times. They did some okay things offensively today. Sometimes you just, don't put up a lot of runs. And this is a tougher park to pitch in for sure, but there's been times we would have said, hey, 3 runs, we win this ball game. That was a story a lot of times last year, more so at T-Mobile than on the road. But, there would have been times we would have taken a start like this. And on that same vein, and I know, again, Fenway's a tough park to pitch in, starting pitching's got to be better. The Mariners are what'd they say in the broadcast, like 3rd or 4th worst in terms of, or 3rd or 4th least amount of quality starts this year? Not only is the pitching not being, they're just not going deep into games. Bryce Miller was not very good today. Started out a little shaky, settled in the middle, and then, a rough finish, and maybe should have come out a little earlier. But I can't blame Dan for leaving him in. He's not getting more than 5 innings out of his starters. And then tomorrow you have Emerson Hancock going, and that's going to be a tricky one, as well to get deep into that game. So starting pitching has got to step up. And I think it will. Like, I'm not nervous about it, but, Bryce Miller, and didn't they say he's experiencing some soreness and stuff a little bit? I'd be lying if I wasn't a little nervous, like, because he just hasn't looked very good. The stuff is clearly there, but how many starts has Bryce Miller looked really, really good? I think Cincinnati and maybe Texas after the first inning. Other than that, he's been okay, but I mean, the ERA is at what for Bryce? 4.21. A couple runs came in the end there that ballooned that up a little bit. But it's not about ERA. It's just about how he looks. He looks kind of like a back-end guy so far. Not at all trying to make a big statement here or anything, but he's got to be better. Castillo's got to be better than he was on Sunday, and I think Logan was fine on Saturday, but he's got to at least give you 6 innings. So that's really been one of the reasons for this team. The starting pitching has not gotten off to a very good start. Bryce Miller was no exception, and we'll see how Emerson Hancock does tomorrow. Part of it is missing George Kirby for sure, because they've gotten 3 dreadful starts out of that 5th spot, 1 from Hancock and 2 from the Pebble. But it's the other guys too have got to step up a little bit. I think Bryce is probably the biggest culprit of that so far. Castillo started out really good with 3 solid starts. Last 2 were a little iffy. I think Logan's been fine. He's just wanting to get deeper into the games. But I think Woo's been pretty solid too. So that kind of just leaves Bryce and then Castillo maybe in his last couple starts. But gotta be better. I know you can't look at it like, oh, they scored 3 because they scored 1 and then 2 later. But with this pitching, I would expect 3 runs to at least. If you told me before every game, even in tough road stadiums, the Mariners scored 3, I'd say they probably should have at least a chance or be within a run going into the 9th inning or something like that. So starting pitching's got to be better for sure. Offensively, just, I thought they were okay, not great. 3 runs isn't going to get it done usually in Fenway Park, even though I just said you'd hope it could. But if we're just talking kind of broadly on the road in that ballpark, you want 5, 6, or 7. But yeah, let's go ahead and dive into the box score here. Bryce Miller, 4 2/3, 5 hits, 4 runs, 4 earned, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts, a lot of 4s on that list. Not good enough. The fastball command kind of eluded him late. And early on just wasn't sharp. I mean, the Red Sox are pesty, or kind of pesty. Is that a word? They can be frisky, boy, maybe I'm sicker than I'm thinking. I don't know what word I'm looking for there. But you had Rafael getting on base, stealing bases. Another thing, I haven't talked about it much, but the Mariners starting pitchers and pitchers in general actually are so bad at keeping runners on. Don't blame Cal for those. Those are on Bryce. Logan's not very good at it either. None of these starting pitchers are great. I think Woo might be okay at doing it. And I don't remember with Kirby what his numbers looked like, but yeah, a lot of that is on the starting pitching. And I get it. Like, your focus as a starting pitcher should be on the hitter. But man, some of these teams get on, they start running, and it's frustrating. Like, I mean, how many innings did the Red Sox that just felt like we're on second base to start the inning here? But yeah, Miller not on his game today. Again, it happens, and this is a tough ballpark to pitch in. But I want to see some good Bryce Miller starts here, and he should get his next start against Miami, an offense in T-Mobile that he should be able to certainly have a good outing against. So hopefully he can rebound there. But Bryce got to be better, no doubt. Edward Bizardo threw an inning in the third, gave up a hit, 2 walks, and a strikeout. Came in, got out of the fifth, a little damage control for himself in the sixth inning, got out of a bases loaded 1-out jam. He put himself in that situation. So again, we see, as always with Bizardo, you see some of the good, you see some of the bad, but he does get through it and, gets his inning at third and without allowing a run, which in Fenway Park I will take. Oh, my boy Trent Thornton, a third of an inning, 2 hits, 3 runs, 3 earned, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. I mean, Trent Thornton's just getting killed by the long ball. That's what the 5th home run he's given up. And I like Trent Thornton. I think there is some good stuff in there. I mean, this is the guy that froze Ellie De La Cruz with the bases loaded in Cincinnati. Probably a pitch De La Cruz should have swung at, but, hey, he didn't. So Thornton gets the strikeout. There are moments where he is really good. You got a pocket of righties coming up in T-Mobile. You feel okay about Trent Thornton coming in. But you can't just give up this many home runs, because the problem is anytime you bring him in with people on, it's a fear, right? It's in the back of your mind. Was this one a killer tonight? Yeah, kind of. It was 4-3. You get out of that, who knows what happens in the 8th or 9th inning there. So yeah, it kind of was a killer. It wasn't the Mariners had a 4-2 lead and gave up a 3-run home run, but they were in that ball game, and that Casas home run, essentially ended any hope of coming back there. And the point I was going to make is, Thornton can 100% be useful. And I think the home runs will come down a little bit. I think like 50% or something of his fly balls. I think it was Ty from Locked On tweeted that out today, like, have been for home runs. That should come down, but you just can't have a guy that every time he steps on the mound, you're just nervous about that long ball because it's there. He does give them up. I still like Thornton. I think he's fine. Like, he can get you outs, but you can't have this many home runs. That's got to come down a little bit. He can get strikeouts and miss some bats, but he's got to find a medium there, essentially. And hopefully with Brash looking closer and closer to coming back, it'll push some of these guys down a little bit in the pecking order. And that's really the problem right now, is without Brash and with Taylor starting out on the IL and then struggling and now back in Tacoma, you're sort of missing those bridge guys to Munoz, Thornton, Bizardo. I'm not going to throw Vargas in there yet. He's had one bad outing. Vargas has been fine. But I think we all aren't sure of him yet, right? He's looked really good, but, you wouldn't just say Vargas lights out reliever. So when you have those guys, they're okay relievers, but they're not the Matt Brashes that can just come in and get you out of, any tight situation. And Brash isn't perfect either, but he's certainly better than those guys are. They're kind of their own little pile that, they can look really good. And if you're in a 6th inning jam or something, or a starter has to come out in the 4th and the bases are loaded, they can get you out of it. But to rely on them night in, night out, meaning Bizarro, Thornton, Vargas, I won't throw Spire in there. Spire's been legitimately really good. But who else am I missing in that bullpen? Even a guy like Legumina is probably kind of similar to that over the course of a season. So, you keep throwing them in the fire, you're going to get burned eventually. Whereas guys like Munoz, Brash, Spire so far this year, even guys they acquired like Jimmy Garcia last year, those are guys that can keep answering the bell and answering the call and get you big outs. Whereas these guys are kind of more in a pile of just, they can do it, but they're just not consistent enough. Now, I've always said with the bullpen, the good thing is you have Brash on the men coming back, and you can always find bullpen help near the deadline. There's even a team like the Rockies. I don't know who the Rockies have. Guaranteed they got a reliever down there that's interesting enough that you could add in and make a move with. But the other problem is for the bullpen in their defense, they've pitched a lot of innings because the starters are not going very deep into the game. And then Lau, what was the first name? Siren Lau, is that how you say it? Sounds like a Bond villain or something. Made his major league debut, inning and 2/3, 3 hits, 1 run. It wasn't earned. No walks, 3 strikeouts. So the former position player makes his big league debut on the mound. Very impressive. I thought he looked really strong. I hope he sticks in the bullpen. Sees a lot where these guys come up, they pitch an inning at third, and then to make room on the roster, they're sent down, and it just kind of creates a little bit of a mess. But Lau looked good enough. And again, in the bullpen that outside of Spire and Munoz and Vargas so far, that has a lot of question marks. I think anybody that shows you something should stick around. So hopefully Lau does stick around here. Drew Pomerantz was traded. I think, was it to Boston actually? Who did he get traded? Or San Diego? I don't remember, but Pomerantz was traded. I guess he had some weird clause in his contract where Ken Rosenthal said it's like a move-up clause where if a team was willing to put him on the major league roster, the Mariners had to trade him. A little disappointed. Would have liked to have seen him get a shot on the roster. He looked good in spring. Has looked good so far in Tacoma. So, a little disappointed in that, especially a team that is kind of struggling in some of the reliever spots a little bit. Would have been nice to maybe give him a shot. I'm not going to stand up and say losing Drew Pomerantz is going to hurt the Mariners, but it would have been maybe a movement. It reminds me a little bit of the Tyson Miller move last year, that could come back to bite them a little bit. So, not a good day for the pitching staff all around. Lau was good. Bizzardo got out of trouble that he self-inflicted, didn't give up a run. Again, I'll take that in Fenway Park. And that's right. The unearned run from Lau was on that Rivas misplay, and then Solano ain't quite Rowdy Tellez over there at first. He's not, when guys are running into him, he's going down. He's not doing the trucking. Let's move into the lineup. 6 hits, 3 runs, 6 walks, only 5 strikeouts. Should have done more damage against Bayo. Kind of had him on the hook there early, and I thought I had a chance in the 5th inning to add some runs, but couldn't do it. Again, not hitting very well with runners in scoring position. They were 1 for 8 today. The one was big. It was from JP, gave him the 2-run single and got them back into the game. So that was encouraging, but if that's a 2 for 8 or something like that, and that other one is Rowdy in the 1st inning, they might win this ball game. So, again, doing a lot of things right offensively, but just not getting those big hits with runners on. I will maintain, though, that I think that will normalize. That number will go up as the year goes along. Keep putting base runners on, and good things should eventually happen. Julio was 1 for 4 with a double and a walk. Double. It was kind of a bloop down the line a little bit. Ready to see another Julio hot streak. I'm repeating myself from Sunday, but Julio's kind of fallen back into, previous early season Julio's, maybe a little bit better this year. The walks have been higher, but still just a lot of stuff on the ground. When it is in the air, it seems kind of like weaker contact. But, on base twice, right? I'm not going to rip that. That's 5 at-bats, totally reach base twice. That's a good thing. But I'd like to see some, balls in the gap or Julio peppering the monster a little bit for a game or two as well, to kind of see him take over in a series. I'm waiting for that. I'm ready. Thought we were getting a really good start after that Giants series, and, he's kind of really cooled off since. He's done enough to, be fine, in a vacuum, but like to see another gear here from Julio. Polanco 1 for 4, the solo home run and a walk. Polanco's 4th home run of the year, hit it in the 1st inning off Bayo. Again, that 1st inning, man, is going to be kind of a wasted opportunity. Tough game for Cal was also 1 for 4 with a double and a walk. So another good game from Cal. Randy 0 for 3, tough one for him. He had a big at-bat in the 5th where, down 2-1, could have done some damage, but struck out there, so that was a tough at-bat. Luke Raley was 0 for 1. Solano pinched hit was 0 for 2. I am getting close on Donovan Solano. Like, Rowdy has not been perfect either, but at least he can run into a fastball. At least he can take a fastball and deposit it 400 feet. That alone does give him some value, right? Like, at least when Rowdy Tellez comes to the plate, there is that hope that this dude can crank one out of here. Is he going to? Of course not every time, but there is that hope. Solano's not a home run hitter. So, like, he's got to, work his way up with singles and some doubles and some walks. His bat speed looks atrocious. When he swings the bat, are you watch that going, oh man, those look like good rips? They look like your dad's had 8 beers and he's in the softball game. I shouldn't say your dad, that'd probably be me, 8 beers in a softball game. But you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't look like somebody that's close to breaking out. And it's not like, hey, if Solano gets a hold of one, even Garver, who hasn't done that yet, at least you know that power is in there where like he can get hot and hit a couple home runs. Solano's game is more singles, some walks, some doubles. So like for his numbers to come up, he's going to have to get on a real hot streak. He can't just, as much as I'm talking about Julio, like Julio is capable tomorrow of a 2 home run, a triple, a double, and that OPS is like 815. Solano's not going to do that. Like, and it's not like you're getting much from the glove at first. He's not a good base runner. So he's been a good hitter in the past. Like, I will have patience with it. But if it's like May 10th, 12th, somewhere in that range, and he's still doing this, I mean, what is it that Tyler Locklear, at least there's some upside there. I'd even find platoon Locklear and Rowdy for a little bit, like totally fine. But I'm kind of getting there in Solano. He's done it enough in his career. I'm willing to kind of give another month or so. And maybe some people are going to say it's crazy, but guys that have hit before, they can find themselves a little bit here. I like Locklear, but I'm not jumping to just put him in there right away either. So, but Solano to me has got like till mid-May. And then if it's not getting better, maybe you do just move on there. We'll see. Rowdy was 0 for 2. Ben Williamson, 1 for 1 with a walk. 2 at-bats. Ben Williamson on base twice. He's done everything you've asked him to do. I'm going to make that pretty quick. Just continue to be impressed. Dylan Moore, 0 for 3 with a walk. Mastroboni, 0 for 1 with the walk. Rivas was 0 for 2. JP was 2 for 4, 2 RBI. So nice game from JP. Continues to get on base. He's working his walks. His OBP is high. If he can just get a couple of these to fall in here, mix in some singles, still like to see some slugging from JP. But if he can do stuff like that each game, and when he's going 1 for 3, working a walk or two, that plays at the bottom of the lineup right now. So, yeah, I don't love it with the next 2 games. Baseball's funny, so I don't think the Mariners are like necessarily worse than the Red Sox. So it's not out of out of the realm of possibility they can win tomorrow and win on Thursday. But I don't like how these games are matched up. I don't like the ballpark. I definitely want to spend some time in Fenway, like I said in the opener. But I actually have been to Fenway Park, but I was 10 years old and I didn't appreciate what it was. Now that I'm an adult, I want to go back there and go to a series. But I hate when the Mariners are there. It's just a house of horrors. I mean, if the Mariners win tomorrow, I'd probably say, fine, whatever, Thursday's gravy. I'm just get me out of here with a W somehow. I don't have a ton of faith in it. I am at the point, if you can split the next 2, great. 5-4 road trip, you go home 500, perfect. That's kind of where I'm at in this one. If the Mariners happen to win 2, that's great. If they're swept, is it the end of the world? Of course not. It would just be a disappointing ending to a road trip that started out very well. Starting pitching's got to be better. Offense got to come through with runners in scoring position. That's all I've got. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all tomorrow. And as always, go Mariners. Peace.